And welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Videomail for the week of August 18th, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members, and welcome back to the old members. The Ask Videomail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one. But I need your question if I'm going to answer, so please send those questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, believe me. And it is the best way to get the most out of the site. I am enjoying my summer. I hope you are too. And for those of you in the southern hemisphere where the toilets flush the other way, I hope you're enjoying your winter. And I hope it is uncharacteristically mild. I don't know. Let's just go with it. Just go with it. This is we have 3 more weeks in collabs. And we have handed out shots. It's gonna be a race to the finish, but I think we can do it. I'm very excited about it. I'm not going to announce the next collabs until we get something that I can basically announce on the first collabs, either a deal in place or some sort of like co-production partnership, something that I can basically laud as the success story of collabs as a business model and as a way for us to move forward in this industry. So that being said, you might not hear a lot of news about collabs, but if you are interested in it, I still do want to hear from you. So you can just send me an email, any one of the email addresses that you know for me, or you can use the contact form on the collab's website to talk about it. Let's also talk about the Anim Gym. There was 3 entries last month. That's a little low. I think that we should try to get those numbers up, don't you think? There is plenty of people there who want to give you critique, plenty of people to critique if you just post your work early. That's kind of the trick there. Okay, it's the 18th, so that means that it's a little over halfway through the month, 31 days in August, so there's 15 days to go. It would be great to get your work up and going as soon as possible. Remember, the idea behind the Anim Gym is that it's even practice over your entire workflow from blocking all the way through to final polish. If you are rushing at the end of the month, it doesn't quite end up turning out that way. It's a little bit of a different, you kind of get a little bit of a different thing. So anyway, just want to encourage you all to participate in the Anim Gym. It's free for everybody to participate, and KennyRoy.com members all get a critique at the end of the month in a webcast. So take advantage of that, all right? Just another one of the fun perks of being a member here. And last but not least, remember, there are some pretty cool perks. There is an affiliate program where you can actually earn money from referring members if they sign up for a membership through your affiliate link. It's free to join. Look on the menu on that side. That's where the menu is. And also the referral program is basically when someone signs up and they use your name as the member that referred them in their sign-up form. They have to have your username, though, and it needs to be spelled correctly. You automatically, I don't even have to do anything, you automatically get 3 months free when they sign up for, you get 1 month free when they sign up for a month, and you get 3 months free, I believe, if they sign up for 6 months or a year. So check that out. Check that out. Tell your friends about the site. You even get those referral bonuses. I should just make this clear. You even get those referral bonuses if somebody signs up for a free trial. So tell your friends, especially those of your friends that are in an animation course right now. This site was designed to fill in all the gaps that an animation course is just too specific to, too broad, too general in scope. To put into a curriculum, like can we really actually get into the dynamics of moving the cog of a game character that jumps off the ground, and how to work out like where the cog and the root control, like where one takes over and the other one ends. That was in a video mail in February. Can you cover that in a curriculum in a school? No, you can't. So this was I really actually created this to fill in Animation Mentor, but it's applicable with all other curriculums. So tell your friends, hey, sign up for the free trial, and I'll get free time on Canva.com. You'll be helping me out, and there's no obligation to continue. Okay, so let's get to the question without further ado. Hey Andre, that's a pretty good question. Let's jump into Maya and answer it. Okay. So basically, what he's talking about here. I'll hide my face because we're looking at keyframes here. Let's see the bottom of the screen. Basically, what is being asked here is a character, and if you set a key on frame 1 and then frame 10. And if I go into the graph editor, here you have your keys, right? If you move, so I just like shift left clicked, you can double click on it and select everything. And if you click anywhere except these handles in the middle of it, it deselects it. But anyway, shift left click and then middle mouse drag it. So you're moving the key on top of this one. See, there's one on 10 and I let go. What happens is here's frame 10, and as you can see, it's like zoomed in like infinitely like wide here, and it doesn't actually move it. It doesn't actually replace this one with this one. Let me do that again, but I'll actually have a different key value on frame 10. Okay, so here is my keys. And if I select it and I drag it and I let it go, look, it still has that weirdness. And this is the opposite of what I want. Ostensibly, what I wanted to do, because it was the one that I selected and moved, I wanted frame 1 to replace frame 10. But it will always be there on frame 10. You see that? So on frame 10, boom, there's that movement. Now, so what can you do? Well, here's another interesting thing. If I hit snap, let me snap in the graph editor. If I hit snap, nothing happens. That's interesting. Let me see if I snap this. Yeah, that's interesting. Nothing happens because Maya actually thinks that it is on a keyframe right now. It's so close that it actually thinks it's on a keyframe, and it won't ever replace a key with another. Okay, so this is a simple workflow thing that you can work out. I'm just going to undo until it's not moved anymore. There we go. Okay, frame 1, frame 10. What I do instead is, instead of moving it, I normally middle mouse drag and then hit S. What it does is middle mouse dragging and then you let go. It copied all of the values here, and then when you hit S, it overwrites the values on the key that you were working with. Now, what if you actually wanted to, let me give you an example. What if you actually wanted a key that was a little bit different to be over here? Wouldn't that be a little bit slower? Well, maybe it is. Middle mouse dragging, hitting S, and then having to delete these. Presumably, you're not moving more than one frame at a time onto another frame. Okay? Although you could be. I guess you could get something like this. Where you wanted to move both of these, and this one you wanted to end up landing on frame 10 like that, and trying to avoid that step result. I guess you could. But what it sounds like to me is that this animator's workflow is moving stuff around, but in general, the way that I animate with tempo is to create only the keyframes that are needed and necessary, and those will never get out of order. Okay? So what's kind of a better way to do that? Well, if you're doing rough retiming, consider switching over to the dope sheet. I use the dope sheet a lot when I'm very, very, very beginning stages of blocking my scene with tempo. Okay? So what this does is the dope sheet actually does overwrite, which is first of all pretty awesome, and will give you the kind of the result that you're talking about. It's not as interactive as the graph editor in terms of like what you're looking at, but also I find even if you did want to overwrite stuff like that, I would say that well, you kind of start getting into a little bit of a screen real estate problem, because here's what happens. I presume you're trying to move either on the timeline like this, or you're trying to move in the graph editor like this. This is kind of a way that you could probably visually work out what's happening on screen. But as you can see, I have dual monitors, but let me just not assume that everybody does. If I'm looking in panel at what's going on right here, I'm starting to have a little bit of a screen real estate problem, because I don't know exactly what, I mean, the dope sheet is very non-interactive in terms of the feedback of the poses that you're actually messing with. Also, even though I select them in the graph editor, and I know what they are, and I know kind of like what they line up to and whatever, I still have to switch over to the dope sheet in order to move them. And truth be told, I think that's probably a little bit too much clicking. So I think maybe taking one step back in your workflow, taking just one extra minute to make sure, if you are using the animation with tempo method, to take one more second and really ask yourself, focus down on this question. Is the pose that I put here really defining or refining my timing at such a fundamental level that it needs to be put in first? Because really, pretty much with all workflows, there's not going to be a lot of retiming where you're copying keys that are replaced, or like moving keys that are replacing keys. Like, so for instance, once you start getting into breakdowns and a lot of in-betweens, if you move some keyframes, normally there's like a section that's been deleted, or you know exactly what you're getting. Like, so if someone's like throwing a ball, you're not going to squish time on that, and as they throw the ball, you know, want to move this part of the animation to right here and like get rid of this part of the animation. Normally it's either going to be sped up or retimed or whatever. You're not going to be wanting to replace keys. So as you go forward in your animation, you're going to get less and less of I think a moment when you need the functionality that you're talking about. This sounds like sort of early game stuff. So that being said, if you can make a little bit more of a fundamental approach to your blocking, maybe with tempo, then what you'll get in exchange for working that way is not needing as much interactivity in terms of the amount of like feedback you're getting with what these poses are and whatever in the dope sheet, at which point you will know, okay, well, you know, here's a breakdown, and you know, I don't really need it, or this just needs to come, you know, be much more biased towards the beginning, so I'm just going to override it here. And then, as you can see, the feedback in the graph editor shows that that worked. So there's that. You know, you can't get it back ever again. It's kind of it's a very destructive way of working, and that's again why I think that if we're talking about sort of early game blocking and early game workflow stuff here, that what you're sort of what sounds a little bit more like an issue with your workflow is having poses that are so essential to the definition of the timing choices that you've made that there's no way you could delete them. There's no way you would want to move one over another and replace one with another. They're all so essential, and that comes down to spending a little bit more time as you are setting those poses to say, what is the next most important? First, start with the most important, of course. Normally we start at the beginning. But what is the next most important moment that will define my timing choice? So if it's a jump, well, it's the you'll probably do the start, and then you'll do the apex of that jump, and you'll probably do the landing. But will you necessarily do the next pose as a character is leaving the ground or approaching the ground, or approaching the apex or leaving the apex? If you're doing an extremely plateaued, if your idea is for an extremely plateaued jump, for instance, then it's obviously you want to define that slow in and that slow out from that apex, right? It would be a bad idea to do the fast in and the fast out of the ground poses, all right? And I know it sounds a little bit weird, but once you start thinking about it in this way, your timing just goes so much quicker, and it's so much easier to like really decide like what you're going to work on or what's next. And again, one more time, that workflow, following that, you'll never come across a keyframe in the beginning, especially, that you would ever like move and like replace another with. But you can do it in the dope sheet. It's just a little bit wonky in terms of like watching the feedback on the character of what's going on. And also I find I really wish that the dope sheet, because all the keys are at the top, I wish that the numbering was at the top of the dope sheet with the frame counter, because you're always like looking up at the top of the dope sheet, and then you have to look down at the numbers. Anyway, just little things. That was a very good question. Please send more. I love getting more questions. That's the address to send them to. I look through them all. I really do. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Jump into the Anim Gym. You have plenty of time left, okay? I want to see all you guys out there, and we'll do a big webcast at the end of the month, all right? It's been fun. I'm Kenny Roy. Thanks a lot. Good luck with your animation. As always, rock on.